Hey y'all, it's Andrea with The Cutest Little Thing. Thanks so much for hopping on to watch today's video. If you love thrift flips, home decor, upcycling, DIYs, and all of the things, then you are at the right place. If this is your first time visiting my channel, I hope you like what you see, and if you do, please hit that subscribe button where you don't miss any future videos. And if you've hung out with me before, welcome back. I'm glad that you're here today and excited to share with you today's videos, so let's go ahead and get started. I love picking up these old rusty crusty strainers. When I see them, I usually find them for 99 cents and upcycling them into beautiful home decor. So here I'm using Fusion paint in the color Parchment, and I mixed in my pickling salt with it. Just mix it really well, and I'm using a sponge brush and dabbing that on to this entire piece. Stippling on is much easier than trying to brush it on, especially when you add the salt in it for texture. It's much easier just to stipple on, and then you don't have your brush strokes either. So I just do that all over. It's a little messy because that salt kind of flies when you're getting it onto your piece, but you can just work over a plate. Again, we're using our Patina paint in the color Bronze, and this is Dixie Belle. And I had a lot of questions in the last video, and yes, the Patina sprays are meant to be used with this paint, but you can most definitely use it by itself. It's a beautiful metallic paint, and you can get bronze, you can get iron, and copper, and they're all so beautiful in their own way. And I just wanted this bronze color to be used to mimic a rust look. There are other ways that you can get a rust look, and I have done other techniques as well. I have videos making a rust look, but I am up for trying new things, and that is all a part of the fun of crafting. Just trying new techniques, trial and error, you learn. You know, if you don't try it, you won't know. And I just love this technique and how it has been turning out. And if you missed part one, it will be in the description. In the description, you can find that link below and check that out if you missed it. And I'm just dabbing this on in various places with no rhyme or reason, just kind of where it would naturally age if it were old and, you know, just rusty crusty around the bottom, around any little cracks, or around the drain holes. And I also do the inside of it as well. And as you can see, I'll dab it on with that little brush, and then I'll go back over and blend it with my sponge brush. And y'all, it just gives it such a pretty look. I love these Patina paints. If you have not tried them, please do. And yes, get the sprays that come along with them, because they give such a pretty look as well. Now I'm going in with my Sweet Pickins milk paint. I let all that dry on my drainer or strainer. And you want to mix up your milk paint, equal parts, water to powder form. And I just simply mix that up, let it sit for a few minutes, thicken up just a little, and then I brushed it over this entire piece. I did not want full coverage, so I just lightly brushed over, almost like a dry brushing technique, but a little more than that. And now I'm going in with my heat tool just to dry, and y'all look at all that beautiful texture we are getting already. These are some little feet I had in my stash. These came off of another piece, and I am brushing on that same milk paint color, and that is the color Mercantile. I don't believe I told you the color. That is the color Mercantile. It's a beautiful white color. So I'm painting those little feet as well. We're going to glue these on the bottom of our strainer when all of our paint is good and dry. I'm helping that process along here with my heat tool. And with milk paint, the magic mostly happens when you apply that heat. So you can use a hair dryer, or if you have a heat tool, you can use that as well. And you will get lots of crackling and chipping once you apply that heat. I used E6000 glue as well as some hot glue to attach my little feet to the bottom of my piece, and I just kind of eyed them. There were 3 of them, as you saw, and I just sort of eyed them to put them on the bottom and make like a little triangle with them. And I held that in place. It did take a while to dry. It takes a while for that E6000 glue to dry. So if you just want to let that dry overnight and then come back to it the next day, that would be perfect. I'm ready to embellish it now. I added a little burlap piece for the liner, or that might have been muslin cloth. And moss, that little home bead hanger, I grabbed from a craft store that's local to me. And now I had this Christmas tag. I wanted to redo it. I'm using that fusion paint to paint over it. It took 2 coats, and you want to dry the first coat completely before applying that second coat. And I've got this beautiful birdie image. I purchased this image off of an Etsy shop, and I will include that in the description below. And using my Mod Podge mat, I'm going to apply a thin layer there on that little tag. And lining this image here, just pressing it down all around. You want to let that dry. I like to use a balled up piece of saran wrap or a little baggie to help wipe any wrinkles or bubbles that try to form in your paper. And applying heat kind of helps it smooth down as well. I took my little gator sander and just sanded the edges. I'm sanding off that excess paper, and it's also sort of distressing those edges at the same time. Just tear away that excess paper. And y'all, look how cute that is. We made our birdie tag, and now I'm using Dixie Belle's clear wax. I want to sorry guys, I just had a loss of thought there. I wanted to seal my image with that clear wax, and now I'm going around with gray grunge, which is this beautiful gray wax, and I just want to touch those edges and brush that gray on. I think it just goes so beautifully with those birds and the colors in this image. And then I just lightly brush over the entire thing. I decided to kind of redo it, so I took that moss out and I reapplied my little, that's a piece of drop cloth. That little piece there I just showed you with the lavender, and I'm sticking some baby's breath in there. That was a cute little piece I picked up from my Dollar General for $1. And I thought that was a cute touch. And now these little mini rolling pins I get off of Amazon. I'm just painting that main part there, the roller part, with that fusion paint. And again, that's the color parchment. And I only did 1 coat of that paint. This is like raw wood, and it just had really good coverage. I'm using my archival ink with a stamp that I got off of Amazon. It's got some writing on it with some little birds. And I inked that up really well, and you can just roll your rolling pin right across that ink pad. And you want to clean those stamps right after you get finished. I'm trying to make a habit of that. Now this is Fusion Color Blue Pine. I love this color so much. It's a beautiful blue-gray color. And I'm painting those handles of the rolling pin. Sorry, I'm kind of out of view here. I just thought this would be such a cute little touch to our little vignette we're making with this kitchen piece, having this rolling pin in there, this mini rolling pin. I get a bulk pack of these. I believe there's either 6 or 8 for, well, I don't want to tell you wrong. I started to tell you how much, but it'll be in the description. I started to use the wrong wax, and I said, no, I wanted to use gray. I think I grabbed a brown, but I'm going over these handles with that gray grunge, and then I lightly go over that entire piece and just kind of almost dry brushing that wax on there. I let it sit for a few minutes, and I do wipe away that excess with a towel. And now I'm just laying that in there with that piece of eucalyptus greenery with our tag and our other little mini jar we have with the lavender piece and our wooden beads. And y'all, I just think this turned out super cute. I absolutely love it. I love how everything came together. I hope you love it too. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, let's get started with project number 2. For my next project, I grabbed this little chicken wire basket out of my stash. It has 3 little sections in it and a bottom. So I knew right away what I wanted to do. First, I wanted to coat it with my Fusion paint in the color Parchment. I wanted to use Fusion paint because it does have a built-in sealer. So I could just do the one base coat, and I knew it would be good to go for my next step. It would be quick. I just brushed that paint on really quick. I didn't even get perfect coverage. I don't even think I did a second coat, just this one coat. Now, I didn't get it on camera because y'all have seen me do it several times, but I used my Patina paint in the color Bronze once again and dabbed on in various places, creating that rust look. And then I went over that with my milk paint, the Sweet Pickins milk paint in the color Mercantile. And after that, applied heat with my heat tool. And I started getting some crackling. I was holding my heat gun there, trying to see if I would get a little chipping. I didn't get much chipping, so I tried wet distressing just to see if I could wet distress some of that milk paint. And it did. It distressed it, and that faux rust look popped through, and that gave me the look that I was trying to go for. I wanted this little basket to look a bit rusty. So I continued wet distressing just a bit. And I like that look that I got. Now, for those little sections, I keep those Starbucks bottles in my stash. After I get finished with them, I'll clean them really well, and they make the perfect little milk jugs. I like to make those a lot for my booth. So I grabbed 3 of those. I thought they would be perfect to go in this basket. Clean them up. I do have coffee grunge here pre-mixed. I put some Mod Podge in that plate, and then I put some of that coffee grunge just to stain that Mod Podge in there. And I'm going to coat my glass bottles with this just to give my paint something to adhere to. I like to do that when I'm painting on glass. And the Mod Podge didn't need to be stained for this first step, but I just went ahead and stained it so it will be ready to go. And you'll see why in just a few minutes. You'll see what I do with that. So I give them a good coat, and I let that Mod Podge completely dry. And I'm just painting that on with my sponge brush, and I go ahead and do the bottom as well. And I like to turn them upside down to dry. Now again, I'm going with this Fusion paint in the color Parchment, and after that Mod Podge dries, I'm painting on my paint. After that first coat dries, I do a second coat. I just go ahead and do a second coat to make sure I get good coverage. And if you haven't guessed already, we're just making these look like milk bottles. We'll add some labels to them. I already had some labels printed out in my stash. Just giving it a quick dry with my heat tool. And as you can see, those brush strokes and everything as that paint begins to dry. So when you see that, you know you need to go ahead and do a second coat. Here are our labels. I will include the Etsy shop I purchased these from in the description if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, feel free to comment and ask any questions, and I will gladly share any links or any information with you guys. I like to just take that paintbrush and dip in some water and brush around my label and tear. Sometimes I like a straight edge. I'll just cut them and have that straight edge, but most of the time I like to give it a tear. Here is where my stained Mod Podge comes in. After that paint dries completely, I go over that. Well, first of all, it preps my bottle and gets it ready for my label. So I can go ahead and press that label down and get it smoothed out there on the front. But then it's also giving that white paint just a little bit of a stain where it's not so bright white. And now if you want your bottle bright white, that is fine. That looks great too. And you can skip that step and not put the coffee grunge into your Mod Podge. You can also put you a little bit of antique wax, like the Waverly antique wax is good. That will stain your Mod Podge, or a little dab of brown paint. There are several other ways you can do that step and stain that Mod Podge. But I already had some coffee grunge mixed up, so I just went ahead and did it that way. And as you can see, the look that it gives, I just think it looks, you know, a little aged, a little old, gives it that primitive feel. I just like the way that looks. And then it's going to match our labels because our labels are a little bit vintage. I just finished getting that brushed on, and I just do all 3 bottles. I had 3 different labels. They all went together, but they were different. So I like that. Instead of doing them all the same, I like them to be just a little bit different. And then you want to seal that label as well. You can brush over that Mod Podge over that label. You can spray seal it, or you can do wax or a top coat. You just don't want to. I use an inkjet printer to print out my labels. So if you're using an inkjet printer, you want to be careful not to get it too wet. You don't want that ink to smear. So just keep that in mind. Now I have some muslin fabric here. I'm brushing on that coffee grunge just to stain that. I just simply brush my coffee grunge over that muslin cloth. You can let it air dry, or you can apply heat and help it dry a lot faster. And they were just pre-cut into squares. It's some scrap fabric I had. And I hot glue those over the top just to help hold them in place, because I do wrap that jute string around them, and by hot gluing them, it holds them in place and just helps you while you're trying to wrap your jute string around the top of your bottle. And I do put a dab of glue in the back to start my string, and then I'll hold that fabric down while I wrap that string. And you can wrap as much jute string as you want or as little. It is completely up to you. I don't really count. I just kind of, when I get the look I want, I'll cut it, and then I'll hot glue the end of my string in place. I tied a little bow with some of that jute string in the front and hot glued on one of those little rusty bells, those little mini rusty bells. They're super cute. I decided I wanted to do a little tag on the side of my milk crate there. So this was another little image I already had printed out. I just cut around that little cow so it would fit on my tag. And I grabbed my Elmer's glue and brushed over my tag. I didn't paint it or anything. The majority of it was going to be covered up with my paper. And I just placed that there. rubbed out any little wrinkles that tried to form. And then I just went ahead and brushed that glue over that label to seal it. And I dabbed coffee grunge around that label. I went ahead and brushed it over the top as well and just dabbed away a lot of that excess where it wouldn't be too dark over my image. I also tied a little bow with some lace ribbon that I get off of Amazon, and I hot glued it there on that left handle, and then I just attached my little tag to that bow. I tied it, but then I also put a little dab of hot glue just to make sure it wouldn't come off. And I cut away that excess jute string. Look how cute this is. I love how this turned out, and that little crate was perfect for those milk bottles. And these are so fun to make, and the possibilities are endless. Let me know what you think of this project. I was so excited to find this basket from my local Goodwill. I thought it was so pretty. I love the color it is. It already had some white hues in it, almost like a white wax, and it's a wall hanger basket. I also picked up this beautiful greenery from my Dollar Tree. I was so excited to find it. I saw it another day I was shopping in Dollar Tree and did not get any, and I regretted it when I got home, and when I went back, they were out. So the next time I went to Dollar Tree, they had just a few sprigs, and y'all look how pretty that greenery is staged in this thrifted basket. I absolutely love it. I think the greenery looks high-end. You would never guess it was from Dollar Tree. So my 99-cent basket and my Dollar Tree greenery looks absolutely beautiful. Well, we're at the end of today's video, so let's see those finished products one last time. We have our little kitchen strainer decor piece filled with all kinds of goodies. The little birdie tag, the rolling pin, the little glass jar with the lavender, and the wooden beads. We also have our milk crate with the little jars we made from the Starbucks bottles. And last but not least, our basket. Such a simple thrift flip, such a simple project, but so beautiful. Let me know your favorite project from today's video. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all of your support for my channel. And I will see you guys on the next one. Have a blessed day.